Brad, what did you guys do differently on defense after Portland got off to that great start, especially the defense against Lillard and McCollum?
Yeah, I thought it was more about the defense off the ball when we struggled early, even though they made some tough shots. But I thought we were not as help-oriented off the ball with the other three guys as we needed to be when we were guarding pick and rolls and everything else. And then we really became active, after that time. I think it's the third time out of the last 4 games we've been down double figures in the first quarter, or start of the second or whenever that may be, which is not a good trend and something we're going to have to get better in dealing with. But we flew around like about as well as we have all year in the third quarter.
Early in the third quarter, Sully and Amir just really.
Yeah, Amir's tip in to start the third quarter, and then his tip in transition where he stayed with the play, and then Sully's first 7 minutes, or I think he played 9 minutes in the third quarter, were just outstanding. I thought that he was playing at a high level.
Was that by design to just attack them up front?
We wanted the post, but we also wanted to move the ball. We spent a lot of time, or we spent our time at halftime talking about a few things defensively we thought we could do better. And then we just said we wanted to get to our second action more on offense. We felt like that the time we struggled the most on offense was in the first half when we were shooting off no passes. And that was catching up with us a little bit. As even we were trying to come back and get back into that game, we gave up some opportunities that if we would have moved it into the second action, we may have been in better shape. So put an emphasis on that, and our guys did a really good job of that. And, I thought we played really well, but, as I just told Amanda on TV, I think that, sometimes you catch teams on the right night. This is their 4th game out east, and they're playing at a really high level, back-to-back and everything else. And, our guys were geared up for it.
Brad, just piggyback off of that, obviously the 4 games and 5 nights, is that something you even, make a point of saying like, hey, we really need to up the effort here? That's just kind of how it goes? One
of the things I've learned in this league is, that schedule thing, right when you think you've got it figured out, the team that has less rest, outplays you, and the team that has multiple days off, isn't come out good for whatever reason. Great example was that when we played at Utah. They're coming all the way back from Washington, D.C., and we had 10 days before that game. So it's hard to say that there's an exact science to that. These guys are high-level players, and they play, but just one of those nights where I thought we looked like in the third quarter we probably had a little bit more juice, and that may be a factor of schedule over the course of time.
Coach, talk about, please, about the play of Marcus and the spark he gave you.
Yeah, I thought he was terrific. In the first half especially, I thought that he was a big reason why we got back into the game. He was aggressive on the defensive glass. Obviously, he got a tip in. He also made some plays, made his free throws. He just was really active. And, it's been different guys all year for us. But, that bench unit's been pretty darn steady. And you feel like if things aren't going your way, you are going to get a lift, from you're going to be able to get a lift emotionally from that bench.
And Brad, kind of to follow up on that, the rebounds that Marcus gave you, I mean, it seemed like he played a very physical game as well as active game.
Yeah, I think he had 8 at halftime, but, I mean, he was all over the place. And he finds himself because of some of the stuff we run on cuts and spaced away in the opposite corner when shots go up, and he's pretty good about getting to the glass. But then defensive rebounds, he really went after some balls that were 50-50 balls, and that helped us get going. It looked like it was going to be another one of their nights at the start, and our guys were really good in the last 3 quarters.
Coach, can you just talk about really taking care of the ball tonight, only 5 turnovers?
Yeah, it's one of those games where we probably should have had more like 8 or 9. They had a couple that they tipped away, and we ended up coming up with them, or they went out of bounds when they were trying to recover them. Plumlee especially, I remember a few of those that he tipped away. But try to make a priority of taking care of the ball, and I think that's a huge part for us of our both our offense and our defense, because if you get shots, you got a better chance of scoring, but then defensively, if you get a shot, you got a better chance of setting your defense, and if you don't, it's hard to guard these players in this league.
Coach, the offensive spark of Avery, what he gave to you also.
Yeah, I thought Avery was really good. I thought, again, it's hard to, decipher which end he was better on, because he was very good offensively, but he was, he tried to do everything he could to make it as tough as he could on Lillard and McCollum, and that's a hard job.
Brad, do you think 30 points out of Isaiah is nothing unusual, obviously, but do you think he gets pushed a little bit harder when he's playing against guys that are getting the kind of publicity that Lillard and McCollum have been getting especially the last few weeks?
You know what? You'd have to ask Isaiah that. The thing that I respect the most out of Isaiah is Isaiah's got a chip on his shoulder no matter who he's playing against, because it's kind of the way he's always been wired, and it's why he's where he is. So you don't see a ton of off nights from a guy like that. And hey, that's a challenge as you continue to get more attention and publicity, because you get everybody's best shot. But he's, I said this before the game. I see a lot in Portland, what I see in our team of, there's a lot of guys on both squads with a chip on their shoulder, and certainly Isaiah is up there. And from what I've read about Lillard, he seems like a guy that's up there, and he's had a remarkable year as well.
Brad, it's been a while since Terry has gotten this kind of run in a game. How did he look out there?
Yeah, I thought he did a good job. Hard to really assess because the game is slowing down a little bit. It got a little sloppy, and that's part of it. I mean, when you sit for 43 minutes and then play, that's hard to do. But I thought right when he got in the game, he had an attack mentality. Like Marcus, he finds his ways to rebounds. Even when he doesn't get them, he's in the mix for them. And he missed a couple of open shots, but those are shots that he'll knock down with consistent minutes. That's nothing to be concerned about. That's just a matter of not being fresh after sitting for 43 minutes. But he's coming along well. I think he's doing a good job. He and Jordan are, it's tough from the standpoint of not playing, because you can't see, or others can't see, how much you're improving and how much work you're putting in. But the good news is we've got a lot of good players that are, and they're on a good team, and their time will come.
Brad, now that the focus turns to the Knicks, what have you seen from Porzingis this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, obviously that whole thing starts with Porzingis and Anthony, but they've had a number of guys that have really hurt us in the games that we've played, and Lopez and Afalo are at the top of that list as well. So, I mean, they've got a lot of good players. The Porzingis is just a problem because, a little bit like, Kelly for us, his ability to stretch the floor just puts you in a bind because it's hard to switch screens with a 7'2" guy. So it's a good player. We're going to have our hands full. They've been 3 close games that we played against them.